Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so as I told you guys before, I'm following Wesley through Tata Steel, and so the game I have for you right now is from round 11. Yeah, round 11, and it is Wesley versus Jeffery Xiong. And I was kind of able to get both of the Tata Steel pictures from them. This is them playing different games. I wasn't able to find the picture of them playing together. And the one I did find was kind of poor quality. So I was like, man, let me not use that. So I changed the layout just a touch. Both from the USA though. It's not a very long game. It's actually kind of a miniature. But I was able to actually pull some nice little life out of it. So it's I think it's pretty interesting after the analysis and stuff that I do. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Now before we get started, let me go ahead and just do that real quick. And so that is the standings of the Tata Steel Masters of 2020. And so you see Wesley 7.5 out of 13. He has next to him he has 2 wins +2, no losses -0, and 11 draws equals 11. So that gives him his 7.5 out of 13 points. So getting this out the way. All right. So if you guys are ready, let's take a look. All right. So we have E4. All right, so we have C5, so we have the Sicilian defense. The Sicilian defense isn't the best quality defense that black plays against E4, but it does score the highest. And there are actually a lot of players that choose to go with D4 instead of E4 because of the Sicilians, high scoring against E4. It's definitely not a bad opening by any means, but yeah, it's very feared by some people who play E4. So I mean, it's like I said, it's had some people switch to D4 as a result. All right, so we have knight to F3. That's going to be the most common move you see once C5 is played. All right, so we have D6, D4 going into the open Sicilian. So for those of you guys out there that play the Sicilian, this is very familiar looking to you guys. So we have pawn takes D4, knight takes D4. You also have the option to take with the queen. On queen takes D4, but you end up having a tempo gain on you. And so, if we were just kind of go back here, let's say for example you do take queen here. It's not horrible, but I mean you're gonna basically be getting hit with the tempo with this knight to C6, which is a really it's a good developing move. And you don't usually want to have a situation where you've brought your queen out and it gets attacked, because as you guys know, your queen is a lot more valuable than a lot of these minor and even the rook. And so you definitely don't want to give your opponent a bunch of tempos on your queen by pulling it out too early. So even though it's not horrible, you definitely want to play play very carefully when it comes to bringing your queen out. So just backing up here. Like I said, we have knight takes D4, knight to F6, knight to C3, all very standard stuff. This is the most, this is the highest played of Sicilian. So a majority of the Sicilians are going to go in this fashion here. And so we have A6. And now, as some of you guys know that play the Sicilian, this is the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian. It is one of the most heavily played defenses as black. Gary Kasparov is a really big proponent of the Najdorf variation. He's almost synonymous with it, kind of like Wesley in the Catalan. He's played this for most of his career, and I mean it's something ever since the 50s and 60s. The opening is actually named after for a guy named Miguel Najdorf, and he was originally Polish, and then he changed federations into Argentina. He's one of the major names in chess. There's a lot of people who play chess, who study chess, that are gonna know who Miguel Najdorf is. And he has quite a few different openings that are named after him. But so like I said, as you guys notice, we have the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian on the board. All right, so we have bishop to E3, just getting developed here, and just making sure that we cover this knight on D4 here. All right, knight B to D7. So we have F3. E6, just trying to give that bishop a little bit of room to develop here. You know, you also can see a G6 movement, fianchettoing the bishop, and then you'd be going into, it'd still be Najdorf, but you'd be kind of mixing it between Najdorf and a dragon type of situation. And so, all right, so like I said, we have E6. G4, just going all out on trying to get the attack rolling. And so, you know, trying to push this knight around a little bit. So we have A6, just preventing that move there. All right, so we have H4, just trying to continuously drive that home. You know, of course, if G5 is able to be played in conjunction with like a bishop D2 or something like that, you know, it's gonna really hurt Black's ability to castle on this side. All right, so we have knight to E5. You know, just trying to attack this pawn here, you know, in case, you know, this knight is to move and the queen moves or something like that. You know, this can be a really weak pawn here. All right, so we have rook to G1. Just trying to put a little exclam on this, you know, pushing of the pawn on G5 to knock the knight away. All right, so we have queen to B6. And queen to B6, it looks a little scary. You know, even though you have this bishop that's kind of going through this knight on this particular situation, you don't really have any good discoveries because, as you guys know from my previous videos, this bishop is actually undefended. And so you can't just really just kind of move the knight any old where, because that's gonna, you know, you're gonna be able to take it, and you're gonna have some checks, some checkaroos going. So you definitely don't want those checks rolling. And so in this particular position here, I'm curious as to what people are thinking as far as playing white is concerned. Do they have, you know, there's actually a little trap that you can set in this position here, because I mean, clearly, you know, for Black playing this, you know, Black playing the B6, they're directly attacking this pawn on B2. And so I'm curious if how many of you guys out there are familiar with this particular trap. And it's actually something, unfortunately, that was played against me, and I missed it a while back when I was playing in the tournament. And so it was really sad. It's really unfortunate. But like I said, if you guys want to go ahead and just stop the video real quick, and as white, what would you play to kind of set like a little bit of a trap, thinking if maybe Black might fall into this trap here? And just catch back up with us in a second. All right, welcome back, guys. Now the move I'm looking for is going to be A3. And so, like I said, if we back up, this queen to B6 move, it's clear that the intent is to grab this B2 pawn, right? And so you have two options. You can either defend it or you can just let it go. Now, one of the ways to let it go would be to actually play A3. And so some of you guys out there might be familiar with this trap, but it's a queen trap. And so, you know, what we're hoping for is for Black to, you know, be like, you know what, I'm going to take this pawn because it looks juicy, right? And then you actually have this move here, knight to A4. And so, unfortunately, in this position, the black queen doesn't have anywhere to go. And so, if you notice, you know, you can't take the rook because the queen's defending it. You can't take the pawn because, you know, it's doubly defended. You can't check here because the knight's, you know, protecting that square. The queen can't come here because of the knight and the bishop, and the queen can't go back to its original square because of the knight here being able to, you know. And so, you know, of course you can't take here. There's multiple takes. And so the queen is actually lost in this position. So, I mean, you know, in this position, the most logical thing to do would be to take this rook, in which, you know, you just have to be able to take back. And as you can see, you know, with everything being equal, you know, Black is just down an entire queen. And so, you know, you do have a pawn, but a pawn isn't good enough compensation for a queen. And so just backing up here to queen to B6. So that is not what was played in the game, but I wanted to kind of show you guys that little trapperoo there. All right, so we have knight to A4, just another way to attack the queen. And so we have queen to A5. And now what I'm going to do again is I'm going to have you guys, if you want, you know, stop the video and see what you know, what would be played here. You know, what would you play as white? And catch back up with us in a second. Okay, cool. And so a majority of you, I believe, probably would have said, hey man, I got knight back to c3. Like, let's just do that. You know, we put the knight on the rim, and you know, we got checked. Let's just go ahead and just repeat the position, right? But I think maybe some of you out there might have been looking like, well, I mean, what's wrong with c3, right? Because c3, like, I'm good because I mean, so I got the knight covered with the queen, right? I got the check blocked. You know, everything is everything, right? Well, really, no. Not in this particular position. It doesn't really work. And this is the reason why. You have this pawn and this pawn basically trapping the knight on the rim. So now you have it protected by the queen, but the knight is actually stuck. And so black actually has bishop to d7 in this position. So it was more beneficial for you to, you know, retreat the knight back to its original square. And so the problem in this position, like, you're really kind of hoping that black messes up. And so, you know, basically the knight is lost. I mean, other than this move here. So you have b3, right? And so, you know, black actually has, you know, bishop takes a4. And, you know, you're probably going to have to take back in this position here. And then they actually have d5. And, you know, some of you guys might have been thinking, well, why didn't he just take the pawn? That's an alternative. It's not as strong, but it definitely wins material. But this d5 move is pretty insane. And so if we take a look at the position here, you know, black has moved this rook. Black is not castle, just stuck dead center, you know, dead center in the middle of the board. This rook is not being used over here. And so the white position is like horribly busted. This rook is going to be swinging over here, putting a lot of pressure down here. You're going to be trading these pawns and stuff. This knight's going to come into play. It's just not where you want to be at all. But I mean, like I said before, you know, you definitely have this direct move here. And, you know, you're going to be forcing the king up. And I mean, like, you guys should feel horrible. Like, I feel horrible looking at white. I mean, you got this bishop blocked. You know, like, you're just dead stuck in the center of the board. There's definitely this d5 move is coming. It's not the nicest ever. And so, like I said, you're hoping for black to mess up in this position. And black has the ability to mess up. They say, you know what, maybe if they don't want to trade bishop, you know, bishop for knight, let's say they just say, bam, I'm gonna just hit b5, right? Nah. We not doing b5. Now the problem with b5 is, yeah, you're attacking the knight, but you actually have this move here. Now it probably looks really, really weird. You're like, wait a minute, like, why would I go knight takes e6? Like, I'm just giving the knight away, right? Nah, what you're doing, this is actually what's called a clearance sacrifice. You're basically giving the knight away because you actually have the ability to trap the black queen. So let's say black just makes a natural just taking back move and say, hey man, I'm gonna do that. You know, you actually have bishop to b6 here. And as you guys saw from before, the queen is trapped. The bishop is protected by this knight. This pawn is protected by this knight. The queen has nowhere to go. The queen is in Trapperouville. And so you're going to have to you're going to probably have to give up some type of, you know, way. You know, you can definitely take the knight, but the bishop is going to be taking the queen. And this is not where you want to be at. Like, so this game, these alternate variations, of course, this isn't what was happening in the game, but these alternate variations I'm showing you, it should be, you should be thinking, let me not do that because I'm gonna lose my queen. So that's not the goal, right? I'm wishing for you guys not to be losing your queens and stuff. Okay, so if we just go back, queen to a5. Like I said, knight to c3 was played in the game. We have queen back to b6, knight back to a4, queen back to a5 check, knight back to c3. And it is in this position that Wesley So and Jeffery Xiong agreed to a draw. I mean, not that they agreed to a draw, but they drew the game by repetition. So, you know, they repeated their moves. So, you know, in essence, they agreed to the draw. And so that is the end of that game. And like I said, it was kind of a miniature. It was pretty straightforward, 14 moves deep. And the last 3 moves were repeated. So it wasn't a very long game, but I was able to actually, you know, kind of pull, you know, a couple of traps in there and kind of just show some alternate variations to kind of give a little bit of life to it. You know, because if we just play through the game just straight up, it's just a straightforward Najdorf going into a drawn variation. So hopefully you guys got a little bit out of that. You know, hopefully you guys don't trap your queens in the future. Based off, you know, watching this game, you can say, hey man, I'm not gonna fall for that stuff because I seen that in Kelvin Love's video. Hopefully. All right, that is that game, guys. I appreciate you stopping by. Go ahead and subscribe and like. Also, one more thing I want to say before we go is when we get to this position here, the novelty of the game is actually knight to a4. And this position has been seen before, and it was a game between Nigel Short playing the white pieces and Gary Kasparov, this guy right here, playing the black pieces. And it was queen to c1. That was the move that he played in the game. Nigel Short actually won that game, and this game was from 1987. And so, as you guys see in the description here, or the info on Gary Kasparov, he became the world champion in 1985. So this is 2 years after he became the world champion, and Gary Kasparov went on to actually lose this game as the black pieces. So pretty crazy situation here. But yeah, so that is it, guys. Like I said, subscribe and like, give me some comments, let me know what you like, what you don't like, whatever. It'll help me just continue to, you know, do my thing and be a little bit better. And I will see you guys in the next video. I appreciate it.